All right, so today we're going to talk about navigation, navigating through multiple views and using dependency injection to do so. This is going to be a super cool episode, so make sure to stay until the end. Let's get started. So starting out, we want to create a desktop application. It's going to be WPF, so WPF application. We're going to be utilizing .NET 7, which is also known as .NET Core. Now, if you're using Visual Studio, it's going to be the exact same thing. I'm using Rider, hence why it looks like this. But either way, we are going to create the application. So I'm going to name this project Amazing Navigation, because why not? So before we start writing some code, I actually want to set up my environment a little bit. So I'm going to do change orientation right up here. In Visual Studio, you do have an equivalent button. So if you want to make your layout look like mine, feel free to do so. I'm also going to zoom in on the code a little bit so you can see it better. And let's get started. All right, so the next step would be to actually start creating the folder structure. So I'm going to head over to my Solution Explorer, and I'm just going to go ahead and create a few folders. The first one being MVVM, the next one being View, followed by ViewModel, and the next one being Model. And we can group these underneath the MVVM folder, just like that. We can go ahead and move the main window into View. We can go ahead and right-click ViewModel and add a new class, call it Main View Model. That view model is going to be responsible for the main view. So a lot of people get that confused. We're not controlling the home view per se, but the main window. The home view itself is going to be a separate component. That being done, we can actually go ahead and head into the View folder and create two more user controls. The first one can be home view. Same thing here, I'm gonna change the orientation. We're gonna give it a quick background of, let's say 25, 25, 25. And what you wanna do is when you create a view, you wanna create a corresponding view model. So heading into view model, we can create a new class. We can call this home view model. And these are going to be tied together using dependency injection. Now we want one more view, and this one's going to be another user control, and we're going to call it settings view. Same thing again, change the orientation and give it another background. I'm going to give this, I don't know, 30, 30, 30, just to differentiate them a little bit at least. And you guessed it, we got to give it a view model as well. So we're going to do settings view model. All right, now we got the core structure implemented. And just as a quick notice, if you haven't subscribed already, please do so because it really helps out the channel. Thank you. Okay, so the next thing that we want to do is we want to head over to the app.saml. In here, there are a couple of things that we want to do. We want to remove the startup URI because first of all, it's broken because we moved it to a different folder, but also because we're going to instantiate it through dependency injection. So go ahead and remove that. And before getting started with the actual dependency injection, we just want to create two quick data templates. So we're going to do data template, and the data type itself is going to be X type. And let's do the home view model first. So just home view model. So you're going to notice that it throws a compile time error. That's because we haven't implemented the XML namespace for this view model just yet. So we can do Alt Enter or Control Dot, and it should allow you to import the namespace just like that. All right, so inside the data template, we want to specify the actual user control that we're gonna showcase when something is of this data type. So what we want to do is we just want to do home view and self-close that. And again, importing the namespace because the view resides under the view folder as we see right here, and the view model under the view model folder. Now we can just copy paste this in order to make it a little bit quicker, and doing the same thing for the settings view model and the settings view. And that's it. All right, so what we want to do is we want to head into the NuGet package manager, which I believe you can find under tools in Visual Studio, and then NuGet and then NuGet package manager, or manage NuGet packages for solution. Either way, what you want to do is you want to find the Microsoft.extensions.dependency injection. That's the one. So we're going to go ahead and install that one. And now we're ready to actually build our DI container. All right, so let's head over to our app.saml.cs, so the backend class of the app.saml. We want to go ahead and create a constructor by typing CTOR and then clicking tab. And in here, we're actually going to start by specifying the DI container, which is going to be a service collection. So we're going to do iService collection. There we go. We can name it services. There we go. Equals new service collection. So the first thing that we're going to register is actually the main window. So we do services, add singleton, and it's of type main window. And that's it. That's how you register the main window within the DI container. The next thing that we want to do, because if we try to start the application right now, we're not going to get any window or nothing showing. So let's go ahead and override a function, the onStartup one, So what you can do is you can hold Alt and click Insert and override members. So the one that you want is on startup. So I'm going to go ahead and implement that. And before doing anything, we actually want to create a service provider. So we're going to do underscore service provider equals services dot build service provider. And from here, we can just Alt enter this in order to create a backing field for it. There we go. Now, inside the on startup, we want to do underscore service provider, get required service, and want to get it of whatever we registered. And we registered a main window. And this is going to return the instance of it, built-in instance. So we want to assign it to a variable. So we'll call it window. There we go. And from here, what we can do is we can just do main window.show. There we go. Now, if you run the application by hitting F5, we can see that it actually starts. All right, so the next thing would be to register all the view models. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. So we're just going to do add 3 more singletons, and we're going to do main view model. The other one is going to be view model, and the last one is going to be settings view model. Settings view model. There we go. All right, so far so good. Now, since the main window is actually lacking a data context, we're going to set it inside of a factory function right now. So we're going to instantiate the main window from when we actually register it. So we're going to do service provider, and the lambda goes into creating a, we'll call it provider, I guess, new main window. And we're going to set the data context to provider, get required services. And since we've registered the main view model, we can just get it like so main view model. There we go. Now, if you were to start the application, it would look exactly the same. The only difference is that now it actually has a data context, and the data context that it's bound to would be the main view model, which we haven't done in anything yet. All right, we're almost done. Let's just go ahead and create a service folder real quick. I'm just going to name this services. In here, I'm going to create a new class, and this is going to be the actual navigation service. Now, in order to try to avoid confusion as much as possible, I'm actually going to chuck the interface for the service right here as well. Usually, you would extract it out of this class and have its own file for it, but you know, we're going to keep it simple. So we'll do public interface, navigation service, capitalize the N real quick as well. There we go. Now this is going to have 2 members, the current view, which is the view that we're displaying, as well as a function, which is going to be invoked whenever we make a navigation, aka switch views. So we could instantiate the current view as just an object, but in order to keep things more robust, I feel like we should probably create a class in which the view models are going to derive from. So let's go ahead and create another directory actually. So we'll do directory and we'll call this core. In here, we're going to create a new class, and this is going to be an abstract class, but we're going to call it ViewModel. Just go ahead and make it abstract real quick. And obviously, each view model should pretty much always inherit from an observable object in order to notify the UI when there's been a change. So let's create that as well. So we'll do a new class, and we'll call it observable object. And what we're going to do is we're going to inherit from notify property change. There we go. And implement the actual interface. Now, in terms of setting the field, we're not going to be utilizing that one. And we're never going to override it as well. So we don't need to keep it virtual, but let's keep it virtual anyways, just in case. Now, heading back to the view model, we can now derive it from observable object. There we go. Just so that we later down the line have access to the onProperty change function. Head into our view models. Let's go ahead and derive it from ViewModel, not view, but ViewModel, and give it the correct namespaces. Now we can go ahead and do this for all the view models. It's a little bit better. There we go. And we might as well create the relay command as well, since we'll be utilizing commands. So inside a core folder, we want to create a new class. We want to call it relay command. We're gonna inherit from iCommand, import the missing members. And just to save some time for the video, I'm gonna go ahead and implement the rest of this. Through the power of video editing, here it is. You can either go ahead and pause the video right here, or you can download the source code, which will be in the description as well on my Patreon. Now we're ready to build the actual navigation service. So as I mentioned previously, we're going to need 2 members. First one being a property of ViewModel. So we're going to go ahead and import that real quick. This is going to be the current view. And we're just going to have a getter and not a setter. And the actual function that I was talking about. So it's going to be void navigate to, and it's going to be generic. So it's going to take type T, where T is of ViewModel, and add the parentheses, of course, and the semicolon. There we go. Amazing stuff. Now we can go ahead and derive the navigation service from observable object, as well as the actual iNavigation service interface. Implement the missing members. And we can't really implement the navigate to function just yet because we still need to pass in the actual factory, which sounds really scary, but I promise it's not. So in terms of this property right here, we want to create a backing field for it as well. There we go. And we're just gonna give this a getter and a setter. So we get rid of that. We can do get. I'll return the current view, and we'll do a private set where we'll do current view is going to be the value, of course. And we can also call on property change right after that. Remove the semicolon at the end, remove the read only, and there we go. And the last thing we need is to instantiate the constructor, because we will be registering the actual factory, which we will pass in as a dependency through the DI container. So we'll do a quick constructor. We'll pass in a func, which takes a type and returns a view model. This is going to be our view model factory. And we're going to instantiate a field for this thing as well. Now, whenever we actually navigate to a different view, this is what we're going to invoke. So the idea is that we're going to pass a function, a type, the type being which view model we want to navigate to, and then return the singleton instance of the view model that we registered in here. So with the help of the service provider, we're actually going to be able to locate the singleton instance of the view model that we want to navigate to, or rather set our current view to. And remember, because we created data templates, when something is of this type, whichever type we're setting, we want to display a different view. So we're almost there. We're really close. We can go ahead and head back to our navigation service. Now we can actually specify this, make it a little bit more easy to read. So we'll do T view model, going to be of type view model. There we go. And we can actually go ahead and invoke the function. So we'll do view model factor dot invoke, and we're going to do type of T view model. Put a semicolon at the end, and we can actually assign this to a variable. We'll call it view model. We can explicitly say view model as well. We can remove this throw new exception. And what we're doing is when we call this function, we're obviously going to be calling it like navigate to, and we're going to type in, for instance, home view model. And this is the type that we're passing in. So if this was the case, if we were navigating to home view model, type of T view model will be type of home view model. I hope that made sense. If not, you can join the Discord server and we'll help you out as much as we can. Link to the Discord server is in the description as well. All right, and it only gets easier from here. So we're going to do current view equal to the view model that we located in our dependency or DI container. And the only thing left is to bind a content presenter to the current view and to register this factory function. And that should be it. So heading back into our app.saml.cs. All right, and again, we just gotta register the function real quick. So we'll do services, add singleton. It's gonna be of type singleton. It's gonna be a func, as I mentioned, and we're gonna pass in the type, and it's gonna return a view model. Then we can go in and just pass in the service provider using a lambda to pass it down. And then we obviously want to pass in the arguments as well. So we'll do the view model type. There we go. And pass that down as well. And we'll do service provider. Oh, service provider. There we go. Dot get required service. And we're not going to pass in the type like so, but rather the view model type like that. And we also got to cast this as a view model. There we go. And then just add a semicolon at the end. All right, so if this looks confusing, I would highly recommend looking into delegates, which are pretty simple in theory. It's essentially just creating a variable which holds a pointer to a function. So instead of a variable holding, for instance, string s whatever, you would, instead of assigning a string here, you would have a delegate or a func. A func is just a type of delegate, and have it point to an actual implementation of a function or a method. And I'm pretty sure that's it. Now let's wire all of this up and add some commands so we can actually, change the view. And we obviously want to register the actual navigation service as well so we can access it. So we'll do I navigation service, and the actual implementation would be navig service. All right. All right, so let's go ahead and move into the main view model so we can actually go ahead and, implement the navigation service and, add buttons and all that fun stuff. So let's go ahead and create a constructor. And obviously, since we've registered the navigation through dependency injection, we can just access it like this. I navigation service, and we'll call it nav service. There we go. And let's create a property of I navigation service, and we'll call it navig. And we'll also create a backing field for it. There we go. And inside the setter, we want to do the same thing, but we also want to call upon on property change. And remember, since we derive from ViewModel, which derives from observable object, we can do on property change. Perfect. Now we can just set the navigation nav service. There we go. And that's literally it. We can now use the navigation to actually navigate to a view model. And the way we want to do it is by obviously creating a couple of commands. So let's go ahead and do a quick prop of relay command. And we'll call this navigate home command. Let's spell that correctly. Command, there we go. All right, so let's give that a quick implementation. Navigate home command equals new relay command. And we'll do the first thing it accepts is obviously the action. So O, we'll do a quick function here. And then obviously O goes into true as well. In here, we want to do navigation. And this is the really cool part, navigate to. And we want to do home view model. And that's literally it. Let's just go ahead and implement another one to get to the settings view as well. So setting to home command. There we go. Refactor this by RR, navigate, and to home command. There we go. We can copy paste this one, just change the name, and obviously just change the type. Settings, view model. Perfect. Heading over to the main window, which this view model is bound to in terms of data context, we're going to create a, let's structure it like this. We'll do a grid.column definitions. We'll add 2 column definitions. We'll give this one a slightly different width. We'll do width. And we'll do, 200. Is that too much? Should be fine. A stack panel. 200 was actually a bit too 100 and 100? Yeah, 100. And it's grid 0 by default, or the grid column 0 by default. So we can just add a button real quick. And we'll do content, say, and we'll give it a height of 25 just to make it look a little bit better. The command, and it's a really cool part, binding, is going to be navigate home command. And that's it. Now let's go ahead and copy paste that button. Just can navigate settings as well. And due to the sheer nature of it being a stack panel, we can see the buttons stacking on top of each other. So we'll call this settings. And obviously we don't have anything to present the actual view. So we'll do a quick content control. And this is going to be grid column 1 to make sure it's in the right column. Now we obviously need to bind the content property as well. So we'll do binding. And in order to get the current view, we got to keep in mind that it resides inside the navigation. So we have the property right here. And we do have a navigation service property inside the main window. Inside the main main window view model, so the main view. So we'll do navigation.current view. So in here we want to do navigation.current view. We should probably spell it correctly as well. Navigation. There we go. All right. So if we were to run this, it should work. I just want to make sure that we can actually initiate them quite easy. So I'm gonna head into and I'll do home view model because I remember these pretty similar. So we'll do just like quick because we want to navigate from here as well. But to begin with, we'll do, just to test it out, a text block, and we'll set the text to home. We'll set the foreground to white. The font size being 25. Is that? That's fine. Do a vertical alignment center, horizontal alignment center. And fine, let's actually chuck the inside of a stack panel. Go, and let's give these properties stack panel. There we go. Just so we can add a button as well, which we can add straight away. Content, and this is going to navigate settings. Again, the height 25, just because this button won't work yet because we haven't bound it and we haven't added the navigation service to the home view model just yet, but we will. We can copy paste this, head into settings view, and instead of having home here, I'll use settings, just so we can differentiate them a little bit. It's going to be home. And if we run the application, and we click these buttons, we can see the homework, but settings did not. Let's see why. So looking at the main view model, we can see that we do have 2 commands, but going in the main, no, not the main window, but actually, yes, the main window. We can see that we, did we spell that correct? We did not. We didn't spell the command correctly. So now if we run the application, just a quick heads up, I accidentally recorded this twice. So it's gonna look a little bit different, but everything is still the same. And as we can see, they work. They work perfectly. Now, what's really nice about this is it's literally the same throughout the entire application. So if we go into home view model, we can create a constructor. We can inject the dependency injection, obviously. iNavigation service. We'll call it navigation, and we'll create we'll create some property for it. Prop iNavigation service. We'll call it navigation. There we go. And quick back like that. Same thing here. There we go. And then do on property that one. And in the constructor, we just instantiate navigation that we're passing in as dependence. And same thing goes here. We'll do a property for a relay command. This is going to be, because we're in the home view model and we want to navigate to the settings from here. So we'll do navigate settings view model. No, settings view, not to the settings view model. And instantiate it right here. Navigate, refactoring it a bit, equals new relay command, and function like so. And this is going to be navigation, navigate to settings view model. Goes in. And now we can just wire this up inside the view. So the button that we have here, command binding, there we go. So if we were to run this, it would work, but let's just go ahead and create one for the settings as well. So we'll do, there we go. Same thing, literally the same thing goes here. So we inject the navigation service. We create a property navigation service, navigation, a backing field, there we go. Do that. And we'll do on the property change. Remember, we can access on property change because we inherit from view model, which then inherits from observable object, which has the on property. And we're never overriding this. So we could remove virtual, but we'll keep it in there. Either way, now we can go ahead and create the relay command. So command, and we're in the settings view and we want to navigate to the home view. Navigate home command. I can't spell. There we go. We also want to instantiate the navigation, which I just realized now that we've misspelled. Yes. And we'll do navigation, navigate. Navigate to home command, relay command. Let's create another function like that. I will do navigation. Oh no, dot navigate. I want to navigate to home view model, and there we go. And that should be the entire application. Well, obviously we need to wire this up by actually binding it inside the. So we'll do that real quick. Command, binding, and there we go. Now looking at it, we can click home, we can click settings. We know that we can go to the home, we can click settings from here. And then we can, navigate back and forth from here as well, which is absolutely amazing. Now, what's really, really nice about dependency injection is that you can essentially inject whatever you want. So if you had other services, like a service pulling data from Netflix, who knows, and you wanted to utilize that throughout multiple view models, instead of actually instantiating a concrete instance of said service, you could just instantiate it once here and you're good to go. Again, the source code will be available on my Patreon. Link will be in the description. If you need extra help, there will be also a link to the Discord server in the description as well. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe. It really helps out the channel. And if you want more videos on dependency injection, feel free to let me know. I'll be happy to help you out. That being said, thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.